Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Agreeable Gray Area podcast. As always, I am your host, Elle. I almost want to say a gap or AGA podcast. I don't know, just to make it shorter, because introducing this podcast each time can be kind of like, now I gotta go say this mouthful ass name. That is totally my fault because I'm the one who came up with this name. It's not like anybody gave it to me. Right now it is Sunday, November 20th. It's about 8:30 p.m. I recorded an episode yesterday, so I'm doing pretty well. So tonight, well, or whenever you're listening to this, preferably it'd be at night because I just said tonight. I wanted to talk about traditions. Like Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Family might be coming into town. You might be going out of town for family. You might not celebrate Thanksgiving. You might, like maybe your family is really far away and you have to find your own way of celebrating Thanksgiving because, you have the day off and everywhere is closed. Well, almost everywhere is closed. Fortunately for Thanksgiving, it's not as strict as like Christmas. But a lot of places are closed. And, you're going to have to find somewhere to go or something to do. Well, whatever it is and how you deal with, Thanksgiving or the holidays, you got to figure it out like right now. And the annoying thing about holidays, at least for me, is just like I love the holidays, don't get me wrong. But I have like a love-hate relationship with it sometimes because it's like, okay, I have the days off, but I have to do something. And I know that sounds shitty because it's like, oh, you have to go see your family, poor you. No, it's not. It's not necessarily that. It's just, it doesn't feel like a day off, if that makes sense. Like, it's like, okay, I have this day off, but it's like mandatory to spend time with family. Or I should say it's mandatory to do something. Like I feel shitty for saying like, oh, it's mandatory to spend time with families if that's a bad thing. That's not what I'm getting at. And I feel like I'm sounding really fucking guilty. Like when I think back on, like Thanksgivings of the past or Christmases of the past, I'm always like reminded of, like having to like mentally prep myself for dealing with my family or like seeing like all like the aunties and uncles and cousins and all that. Like my cousins are really cool. Like everybody in my family's pretty cool. But I always just hated, and this is like, like especially like in a Jamaican household or Caribbean household. Like I know like my Caribbean listeners, if I have any, maybe one day I will. But for my Caribbean listeners, you guys will relate to this a lot. As soon as you enter the house where whichever auntie or uncle, or if you were the home that hosted like the family holidays, the family gatherings, you'd always have to mentally prepare for your aunties and uncles commenting about how much weight you've gained, or they'll be so happy about all the weight that you've lost. And then they'll start to ask if you're, if you're seeing somebody, if you have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or what have you, or start to question why you're single and all that. And it's just like, geez. Like, there's so many other things to talk about. Can we talk about literally anything else? But that's, usually like just the first. I guess it's just annoying. Like, as soon as you enter, you're going to have to deal with that shit. As petty as that may sound, it's just like, okay, every year, every fucking year, there's going to be some kind of comment. There's going to be some kind of comment. Never really asking about anything else. Like, what is it that, I've been up to, or what is it that, I guess, well, that's kind of a rough question because usually when people are like, nothing really. Even I still do that, and I feel like I'm also working on like 2 other projects aside from like this podcast. but I still feel as though like, it's like, do I want to bore this person by explaining what I'm working on? Will this person like even like understand? Will they actually take an interest in it? I guess like relationships is just an easy thing for people to kind of understand. So I guess that's just why people ask about it. Um, Now, who the hell am I kidding? I know why. I know why people ask that shit. It's because like they want to know if if there's gonna be any kids, any grandbabies, any cousins, any kids. And sadly, no, not on, at least not for me. Not on my end. There's no kids. But that's okay though. That's okay. You know, life isn't about just having kids. One of the things I do look forward to, one of the things I do like about the holidays is just, like it's just, I guess it's just something kind of nice to look forward to. Like, even though I just kind of started out talking about all the shit that's just stressful, it is nice to, decorate. I'm probably like the worst, laziest decorator. Like, I have a Christmas tree that's honestly just like a foot tall. I have no idea where my Christmas lights even are to put outside, and I gotta do that eventually. But it is fun. Like, it kind of just, I don't want to say, I guess in a way, like, grounds you. Like, it just kind of grounds you into, like, okay, it's that time of year. It's time to celebrate. It's time to get into that whole joyous feeling. Like, I personally love Christmas movies. I know that people kind of cringe about them, but I love the cheesiness. I love the cheesy corniness of it. I love, like, just the complete, like ridiculousness, like Deus ex machina-ness of it. Like, the cheesier the better. Like, I personally love that. Oh yeah, I didn't. This is one thing I didn't like mention, and I should have mentioned a little bit earlier. Like, how the holidays can make me feel overwhelmed personally. Like, yeah, like we deal with like like the extended family and all that. But I guess what was always like the most overwhelming for me was just, I guess, the couple of days preparing up for it. Like, when my mom was living with me, like, I really felt that stress a lot because her being the mother of 7, I never really, like, she was always like stressful, like not stressful, but she was always stressed during this time of year. Like, she loved it, but she was also very stressed out about it because there's just so much preparation and everything for it. And I didn't really understand and feel it until when she was living with me for, like for 2 years. I mean, it's going to sound kind of bad, but it was like mentally preparing for how much money you have to spend just to make things Christmassy or holiday-y, Thanksgiving-y, what have you. Like, the Christmas lights, they don't seem to last very long. So, I remember she'd always have to like get Christmas lights practically every year, but she also loved decorating the house like full of Christmas lights. So she loved doing that. But I just remember her always like just getting stressed out about everything. And it, like, it kind of just made it feel like very stressful for me because I don't know, like when you're a kid growing up in that, it's just like the stress just, I don't know. You just sort of feel it too. I don't know how exactly to convey it. But I was just like, it kind of made me want to be like as chill as possible over the holidays. Not to like worry and stress too much and just, like deal with the inevitable bullshit, the inevitable jokes about my weight, like critiques on however I was dressed or looking. Like, I could just deal with it at a minimum, especially when I wasn't living with my parents, like when I was living on my own. So like when she moved back, like I was also older. I was like in my later 20s. I started to like really see what exactly she like put into everything, to just make the holiday, great. And I guess I still have like a love-hate relationship for it. And, like I have the love for, just like the joyous, nice mood and, just like the whole holiday mood. But the hate I have for it is just the amount of stress. Like, I really don't like that. I understand that stress is inevitable. I'm not saying that, if I had it my way, it'd be like less stressful. No. It's just more so that when something is stressful, like I kind of just want to just get away from that. I don't want to put as much effort into it because I just saw how stressed out my mom was like doing that, if that makes any sense. So whenever there was a holiday, whether it was like Easter, 4th of July, I mean, not really, we didn't really celebrate 4th of July, but like when it was just any holiday coming up and my mom was living with me, it just got very stressful. And it just felt like she just felt the need to always constantly buy things. And like a lot of these things were just kind of unnecessary, at least in my opinion. Maybe they're probably necessary for her. I shouldn't just, determine that these things were unnecessary. They're probably, she probably just found it necessary, I guess in a way I kind of made a promise to myself, now that I'm, 31, I'm older, have my own place to myself again. Like I kind of just made a promise to myself that I do not want to stress during the holidays, because I personally, in my own personal tradition of these holidays, I do not want to stress out, because that's, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that is not what these holidays are about. And if anyone, comes to like my Halloween party, which, I had this year and also last year, if anybody wants to come to my Halloween party and bitch, moan, and complain that there was like a lack of decoration or a lack of whatever the hell, then you can just get the fuck on out. I'm going to be hosting Thanksgiving this year, the first time I'll be hosting. It was kind of odd how it was picked. I just texted, my siblings, like, what is everyone doing for Thanksgiving? And then my brother kind of just volunteered me. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, why not? All I need to do is just provide the venue. Everyone else could just bring in, dishes and food. So I am trying to not be as stressed out as possible. My family honestly can be a little bit stressful. I mean, that's just what families do. I'm sure there are things that I do that stress my family out. I know that they can get stressed out by like probably how I have my hair, because I don't really wear it up often. Probably certain ways how I dress. It's not like I dress badly or poorly. They just sometimes want me to dress up to the nines for no reason. At least I understand for like holidays, yeah, you should like dress up a bit, but I find it a little ironic, to like wear your best clothes to go eat and therefore have a huge chance of messing up your clothes, especially if you're going to be like drinking, like music's playing, so you might be like dancing a little too, holding a plate of food. It just seems like a recipe for disaster, no pun intended. But hey, I wasn't the inventor of these traditions. I just have to abide by them in other people's homes. But if Thanksgiving is in my home, then I create the tradition. And I know for a fact there are going to be some members of my family who are not going to like it. And I'm going to say, well, tough tits, it's my home. It's how I'm going to do Thanksgiving. At least just this one time if I do Thanksgiving. What I like about, I guess being my own adult, and I hope that a lot of you guys try this out too, because it's really fucking awesome, is creating your own traditions. I remember there was There was an XKCD comic, like that stick figure comic that was like really popular. Like people would share it on Facebook and, probably Twitter. Like it would share it on Reddit a lot. Like that's where I'd mainly see like those XKCD comic comic panel. I think it's like a single panel. So there was one where I think this girl goes over to this guy's house and she sees that there's like a bedroom and like I think there were a couple and there's like a bedroom where he just filled up the room with those pit balls, those like like back in the olden days of McDonald's, like the Playhouse where they had like the I think it was a ball pit. Did I say pit ball? Ball pit. Oh god. That hole with the balls in it? Like no. You can swim in the balls. There's a ball pit. Wow. It's not even like I need sleep, I just need everything. Right, so he filled the room in like a ball pit because they're the adults now. They could literally just do that. So I was, like I think about that sometimes. About how like, okay, I could just create my own traditions. For example, one of the traditions I've created is every year I take the week after Thanksgiving off from my job. One of my previous jobs, we had 20 PTO days. But when I had started, I think I could only get up to like, it was a good amount. It was like 16 or something. And, I calculated it and I was like, oh my goodness, I could take the week after Thanksgiving off. And I knew that the week of Thanksgiving, people were going to take the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's so much better to take the week after because you're not doing shit the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like you're barely doing any work. Like no one's in the office. No one is really online. No one's really trying to do things. Occasionally, like there will, and like you get Wednesday, like you leave early on Wednesday. So you might as well just take Monday, Tuesday off. Come in Wednesday, but everybody's just kind of bullshitting around anyway. And of course, like your job may vary. Like you might be super busy that week if you're not working a corporate job. I guess I'm, speaking from a corporate standpoint, this is usually the case. Like no one's really doing anything Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Definitely not Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, you might get like an assignment, sort of thing. But anyway, so I figured like, I could just go to work those 3 days or those 2.5 days and, just take the entire week off. And it becomes like 11 days or something like that. Or I didn't do the math really, but it ends up being like a lot of days off. And it's fantastic. Like I remember, and I usually would go and like visit my sister that week. That was like my tradition. It's like, hey, I could just go and visit her for the week and it was great. Or I would just stay home for the week. Like this year, I'm planning on just staying home. I tend to do like a lot of cleaning. I get like a lot of like little errands done, a lot of things done, and I just kind of really try to just relax. I remember one year I was literally just bored. And I couldn't even remember the last time I was bored because I was like going to work every day, having to deal with XYZ. I think my mom was living with me, so I was like dealing with her. And I hadn't even realized that it's been such a long time since I was bored. So if you have the opportunity at your job, I definitely recommend taking the week after Thanksgiving off rather than the 3 days before. Just sacrifice 2 extra days because it's way worth it. And usually the week after Thanksgiving is not really like that busy still because it's still like, it's late November, early December. So it's still like the holidays. People are like preparing for the holidays and, like trying to get like their bearings straight for that. So it's usually like, so if you're like really worried about, oh no, there's going to be like a lot of work to be done. There's always going to be work to be done anyway. But you really deserve, just like a vacation, just some time off. And the more time off you can get, especially paid time off, then, the better, because you definitely deserve it. So I would highly recommend taking the week after Thanksgiving off if you have the opportunity. I wanted to make, like sometime in May or Memorial Day weekend, like a tradition for me to go visit my sister, my other sister, my family over there, my nieces over there. But I was like, trying to think back and forth in terms of time off, and because traveling during that holiday can be like a massive pain because everyone's traveling during that holiday. And I was thinking like, maybe I could just take another day or something. But I've been trying to figure out like another tradition to create to go visit my other sister, like once a year. And like it's not really like a holiday. Like a tradition doesn't necessarily have to be a holiday. A tradition could just be literally anything you want it to be. Like I've literally made the week after Thanksgiving a holiday for myself. I guess, like in other countries, how people say holiday as like a vacation. So it's like, I guess technically a holiday. But I've just kind of made it, a tradition for myself just to have something to look forward to. Like, it's like a weird thing that it's like, it's mine, I don't share it with the rest of the country. And I feel, and like I live in South Florida, so it's already like a very touristy place anyway. So if I were to go to the beach on like Labor Day weekend, for example, I'd be shit out of luck. Everybody has that day off in the country. So it's like, what's the point of doing fun things on like a weekday that's a day off when everybody else has that exact day off too? Like if I knew someone who was running for governor of Florida, I would actually suggest that they change like some of the bank holidays. So like, everybody who's traveling all over the world get the same bank holidays, and then they all come down and fight for plane tickets and fight for parking spaces and fight for space on the beach and fight for the same old touristy places and like the same old restaurants and all that. And like it's like, okay, because that was their Memorial Day weekend, but residents of Florida have their own Memorial Day weekend. So they'll just be like massively less people because we all have the same days off. Yeah, it's just wishful thinking. So long story short, create your own traditions. Give yourself something to look forward to. Enjoy the traditions that we do have. Modify them however you like in case you don't like it, because nobody says you have to follow them to a T, because the creators of these traditions, the creators of these holidays, are dead. So they won't care. They don't know. They're not going to know. Once again, thank you all for listening. As always, it's always a pleasure whenever you guys, reach out to me and let me know how you like my podcast. It really helps me. Like it really helps me. Like it helps me to really continue, because like there are times when I am just procrastinating, struggling, and I'm like, shit, I got to do this. And then when I do it, I actually enjoy it. So I don't know why why I'm so reluctant to do it. But, I'm trying, and I'm happy that you guys are enjoying it, because it really motivates me. It truly does. Anyways, I'll catch you all on the next podcast. Hopefully it'll be soon. And have a great night, because you should be listening to this at night. At least just this episode. You should listen to this particular episode at night for no reason. All right. Thanks, y'all.